Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? Hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you more examples of just the contempt in which the Democrats and especially Nancy Pelosi hold you and me, okay, the general public. They think down to their bone marrow that you exist to provide them with comfort, with wealth, with safety, with power, authority, everything they want. You exist to provide it for them. They have forgotten that as representatives of the people, they are supposed to represent the will of the people. And worse, isn't it always the Democrats who are banging on about the sanctity of democracy and how great democracy is? Well, democracy means representing the people, not yourself. Now, we're going to get into this. This is a clip we've got to watch in which in Pelosi's district, San Francisco, a park has been given 200 million US dollars to be upgraded. Pelosi's park, they're calling it. This is the contempt they hold you in. That's your money. That's your money that they're doing that with. Meanwhile, San Francisco, Los Angeles and other places in California, not to mention plenty of other places in Seattle, Portland, New York City, have explosions of homelessness. So the homeless in San Francisco, San Francisco get nothing. But Pelosi's park, Pelosi's new little venture with your money, gets $200 million. It's as they say on the video, it's like monopoly money to them. They've spent so much of your money now that $200 million just seems like nothing to them. Because there's no repercussions. Nothing happens. San Francisco has been getting worse and worse and worse. Pelosi has been getting richer and richer and richer. And yet the fools still vote for her. Anyway, look, let's get into this video. If you haven't yet though, please like the video if you find it informative, subscribe to the Hoggcast if you like regular commentary uploads, hit the notification bell and share this video around. We don't get recommended like we used to because we are conservative commentators. We do have a membership scheme now. There are two bands to choose from. The Coffee Club, $3 a month, British pounds a month. That's why we call it the Coffee Club. It's the price of a cup of coffee once a month. You can help us to support the channel by doing that. And we also have a slightly higher tier, $8.99, which is the gold membership brand where you can collab with me. You can come on to the Hoggcast and we can pick a story and we can cover it together. The gold band memberships. Okay, let's get into this video. Okay, let's check this out. We'll stop it intermittently to make the points I feel I need to make.
Dollars just for her favorite San Francisco park. House Republicans tried to block the proposal, saying the money could be better used literally anywhere else, but Democrats didn't care. They think it's a great idea to use taxpayer dollars to upgrade the Presidio Park in Pelosi's district because she deserves it.
If it weren't for her working 24/7 and she does it to keep this place going, we wouldn't be going.
Ugh. She doesn't work. She's never worked. Politics isn't work. Sure, you could define it as work if you actually represent the people, which is your job. But if I work at McDonald's flipping burgers, and I'm not flipping burgers, if I'm just stood around talking, or better yet, like Nancy Pelosi, I put my hands in the till, in the cash register, and take some money out, which is essentially what Pelosi does, except the cash register is the taxpayers' cash, then you're not working, you're stealing.
And she does more for America than any other member I would submit of this Congress.
In order to say something that stupid, he's saying that Nancy Pelosi, in his own words, does more than anyone else in Congress. He has to be getting something out of this. there is some sort of reward, I'm guessing financial, for him to be so amazed and interested in this one park getting $200 million in Nancy Pelosi's backyard, in her constituency. For him to do that, for him to be so excited over this, what an odd thing to be excited over, and for running defense of her like this, saying that she's the best thing to happen to the United States, there has to be something in it for him.
Times 10. So I support the proposal.
Joining me now to react, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Tammy, welcome to the show. I have to tell you, I shop at Walmart. I'm kind of I like to save my pennies. $200 million for a park? It's not even a new park. It's just to renovate the park. What the heck?
Yeah, look, and it's funny to listen to Cohen saying, oh, she deserves it because of all the work she does. Yeah. And everybody's been out, right? Everybody's been doing their Zooming. They're not even in.
And that's another thing, like she says, these guys are all at home. They aren't doing anything. I mean, I know they're back now, but for a long time, they've either been on vacation or they've been on Zoom calls. It beggars belief that somebody can think Nancy Pelosi is that good for America. She's not even that good for her own constituency, as we're going to see in the next clip after we watch this.
In there because she's it's funny. Look, this is it's now like monopoly money. They have spent so much money. This is like nothing to them.
Yes, it's like someone with a bad gambling problem. Let's say someone with a bad gambling problem, they've already spent like 20 grand. What's 30 grand if you spend 20? What's 40 if you spend 30? But it's worse than that, right? It's worse than that because an actual gambling addict would spend their own money first, obviously, then other people's. But the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Democrat elitists and the snobbish globalists of the world, they don't spend their own money. They don't spend a penny of it. They spend your money on their addiction, gambling addiction or whatever. You know what I mean. Here in Britain, for example, just as a very quick aside, there was a Labour politician. The Labour is our Democrat Party, left-wing, socialist, snobbish, smug, self-centred, all of the usual stuff you get from the Democrat Party. And she was in a hotel. Now, we have an expenses system for our MPs. This was one of the things that actually got them to change it after there was a big public outcry. She put everything on the expenses account when she was at this hotel, taxpayer funded. But the straw that broke the camel's back is that she even put on the list of expenses for the taxpayer to pay for a Kit Kat, which is a candy bar. I'm not sure if you get Kit Kats in the United States, but a Kit Kat here is a candy bar. She couldn't even pay for a candy bar herself.
It's like Mr. Moneybags throwing around the cash. The fact of the matter is, we know as we're dealing with this, but the Presidio, by the way, is high-end real estate. It's hotels. It's fancy condos, fancy elite homes, a golf course, right? It's a great place to visit. No wonder she loves it so much.
And that's what we're getting to. It's a snobbish area for elites. This isn't a park where you or me would take our family for a picnic. This is for them. They're using your money to spruce up something that's for them. How is that representing the public? How is that representing your constituency? And we're going to take a look at Nancy Pelosi's constituency after this clip.
I've been there. It's pretty.
What this is what this ice cream eating and martini drinking bubble thinks about themselves, that we work for them. Remember, that's our money she's spending. And part of what the Republicans suggested was, what about money for Gold Star families, for veterans and their education? I would add, what about funding the police? What about...
That's a very good point. You know, a lot of these Democrat areas have defunded the police, and then they've used taxpayers' money to fund not only their own security, but that's beside the point, but they defund the police and then use taxpayers' money to spruce up their own elitist parks where they live, their golf resorts and that vacation or second homes or third or fourth homes. Some of them have countless homes, you know.
Instead of putting 200 million into that elite area, what about the rest of San Francisco that has become a dumpster fire? This is an extraordinary statement about their elitism and about what they think of us, which is nothing.
Yeah, they hold us beneath contempt. Not just contempt, beneath it. And Nancy Pelosi, I know there's plenty of elitist snobs, but Nancy Pelosi is something different. She is evil. If she existed in the 1500s or the 1200s and she did what she does now, only then, future historians of today would describe her as an evil, detached, cold-hearted kind of baroness who just doesn't care about the little people, the small folk. Because that's what when she looks at you, when Nancy Pelosi looks at you, she sees you as a peasant. You need to understand that. That's how she looks at you. Mainstream politicians have forgotten what democracy means, which is to serve the people. They've become conditioned into believing that the people serve them. And it's going to lead to something dark in the future. In my opinion, that's where I think society's heading.
And the fact that they view each other as, masters of the universe, which, of course, that's not quite what they are, to say the least.
Yeah, well, it also appears to be a payback because the Presidio Trust, by the way, I don't know any park that I visit that has its own trust, but this Presidio Park does. The Presidio Trust gave Nancy Pelosi $19 million in donations over the last year.
Now you're getting to the heart of why that ridiculous man earlier came out saying that Nancy Pelosi's the best thing since sliced bread, that she's the most benevolent, amazing politician that's done more for America than any human being alive. Now you're getting to the heart of why these trust members are doing what they're doing. Why this park, of all places, gets 200 million of your dollars. Because they funded Nancy Pelosi. It's a form of gambling's not the right word, but it's a form of, I suppose you could describe it as investment. You give the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Gavin Newsoms of the world, the Ted Wheelers of the world, X amount of money in donations. Then when they get elected, instead of representing the people, they will do some sort of bizarre event where your business or your hastily set up non-profit organization suddenly gets $500 million or $100 million or $50 million. That's your return. That's your kickback on helping them. That's not real democracy. That's mob democracy.
$1 million in June. I mean, they're using our money to pay off their donors.
Yes.
That's right. So there you've got that. Of course, was just a little cash in her hand, right?
Yeah.
And this is about 200 million. Talk about a return on investment. 20.
Just look. Some people become so detached from society and the people they represent, and so power hungry and evil that it manifests on their face. With Nancy Pelosi, you see that now. It hasn't escaped my attention that, when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, and I read through comments on videos about her, a lot of people say that she is evil. And I was surprised by that because I thought I was the only one that thought she was evil. But clearly I'm not. And so many people coming to the same conclusion can't be a coincidence, in my opinion. And I think it's because Nancy Pelosi's evil, her own greed, her own lust for power, her own self-centeredness, has manifested itself on her face. She has dead eyes, like a lot of people refer to her jokingly as Skeletor. Because of her eyes, they're sunken in and they're kind of not alive. There's no soul. The eyes are the window to the soul. You can tell if someone has a soul by how vibrant and alive their eyes are. She's like a shambles, which is a fantasy creature. It's a walking corpse. That's what she resembles.
$20 million to Nancy Pelosi, 10 times is what you'll get back of our money. This is, in the normal business world, that would be grift. It would be embezzlement.
It is grift. It is embezzlement. But guess what? The local prosecutor, he's got a D at the end of his name. Think about it. The Attorney General, D at the end of his name. Do you think she could shoot a man straight in the head out in public? Do you think she'd be arrested? Really? I know that's probably hyperbolic. You're probably thinking, well, of course you would. She wouldn't. Just my opinion, but she wouldn't.
It would be certainly illegal. And this is what we have to recognize, is the nature of what they get away with so often, Rachel. And then we wonder why they treat us, why they behave like criminals and they treat us like we're like little irritant chihuahuas biting at their ankles.
Yeah, that's it. They behave blatantly like criminals, committing countless crimes, actual crimes, grift. It's essentially organised crime. Isn't it strange, a strange thought, that the Democrat Party is essentially, and the rhinos, the older generation of neocons, Republicans in name only, they are like the different mafia families. That's what it's like. It's a strange and personally quite a frightening thought. But there's no other way I can describe it. And it's like ordinary people get arrested out in the street for not wearing a mask. But they can do all of this stuff. They can embezzle millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, over years, billions. They can waste your money. They can destroy your children's birthright. They can consign your grandchildren to the scrap heap of humanity and get away with it.
Yeah.
They've got to get a wake-up call next year, to say the least. All of this has to change. Yeah,
well, it's tucked into a $3.5 trillion bill. So I guess that, 200 million...
And there you have it, another $3.5 trillion, trillion with a T. 3.5 trillion. For those of you that probably don't know, a trillion is 1,000 billion. Okay, in the American, the way that they do their numbers, 1,000 billion. Okay, a billion is 1,000 million. Right. So we had that first bill, that was, what was that? That was about 3 billion, trillion itself. Then we had the second one, the really big one, the bailout one, that was 6 trillion. And now you've got another one, another 3 trillion. You are sinking in debt. You are sinking in debt.
Seems like chump change. I think for 200 million, Tammy, we all should be able to go to the park and get some of her fancy ice cream for free if we go.
Yeah, ice cream for everyone. The biggest freezer of ice cream on God's green earth in every city of the country.
I'll tell you what, all of the homeless in San Francisco, let's bring them to the park. They can live in the park in the lap of luxury. Nancy Pelosi says she represents the people after all, and there's a lot of people in her constituency who are destitute, starving, hungry, have nothing, they're unclean, they can't wash themselves or keep clean, they don't have anywhere to live. On a hot summer's day in California, a very hot place, Nancy Pelosi, I call on you to invite all the homeless constituents in your constituency to your luxury park to have ice cream. And I would appreciate it if you funded it personally out of your own bank account, which you guys, if you're watching this video, if you didn't know, she is a multi-millionaire many times over. Many times over. She has more money in her bank account than her salary over the years would account for. Wonder where that came from. Anyway, look, this is very close to the end of the video. I just want to show you a very short, and I mean very short, clip of the rest of San Francisco. Very short clip. Well, it's only 6 seconds long. I'll just play it again and again. Just want to show you, this is San Francisco. That there is the law enforcement office. How symbolic is that? That's the law enforcement office that's been closed down. There's police who have been called outside it. And look, there's homeless people making their homes in front of it, the few meager possessions they have. How many homes, if you cut all of the red tape, all of the bureaucratic nonsense, if you bought the components to build houses, just the components, you didn't grease any palms, just the components, and then you paid people a good wage to build those houses for the homeless people. How many houses could 200 million build? How many houses could that 3.5 trillion build? Do you know that 200 million, right? Nancy Pelosi and her husband, if they paid for it personally, they would still have enough money left over that they would be way more wealthy than you or I ever will be. Let that sink in. Anyway, look, I'll leave that there. Let me know what you guys think of this situation below. Situation here. Sorry, it's really frustrated me. I'm just very frustrated over this. The gall of Nancy Pelosi never ends. It never stops, and it just gets on my nerves a bit. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.